Okay. All right. The first surviving set of quintuplets were the Dion quintuplets born in 1934 in Ontario, Canada. You can meet Yvonne, you can meet, see, Annette, Cecile, Emily, and Marie. Uh, they were born to farmers, and immediately the Canadian government took control and custody of the girls. And they did so to ensure their protection and to make sure that they were safe and that they weren't being sensationalized. But you'll never believe what actually happened next. The state or the government of Ontario built something called Quintland, a place that the girls would call home. And in Quintland, they had caretakers, they had doctors, etc. But they also built observatory towers so that people could watch the girls every day. And so people would be there watching these girls do their thing. And at age 9, the girls were returned to their parents, and they were a little bit screwed up, let's say, to say the least. They had been damaged, and for the rest of their lives, they lived under the damage of what the government had done to them. Now, this obviously brings us to crypto and to blockchain and some rather unfortunate news that every blockchain is pretty much identical. Okay, we all talk about the same things: distributed ledger, consensus mechanisms, smart contracts, tokens. All these things are exactly the same. And yes, we are the tourists who just stand there looking, trying to find the differences. Hey, now, actually, if you start looking closely, there are some differences between blockchains. They're not all identical. We all know this. We're in the space, right? You've got different types of consensus mechanisms, and transaction speeds change. Smart contracts are very different. The products and the dApps that are built on top of blockchains, all very different. And so there are lots of ways to approach this technology, but there is one thing that actually is the same across every blockchain, and those are the metrics that are required to make them grow. Hey, I'm here to talk about those metrics. I'm going to talk about patterns for growth tactics, ways to measure results, and understand specifically what leads to token outperformance. It, so the first thing you should know is that not all addresses are created equal. As a matter of fact, there's about 600 million addresses out there in crypto. They go up in bull markets, they go sort of sideways or stagnate in bear markets. But most of these addresses are sloshing between chains. And so if you're going to activate in crypto, the first thing you should know is you should understand the behaviors of each address. Your growth is reliant on determining which addresses are going to activate and which ones are going to drive growth for you. As a matter of fact, for every 0.5% growth in high quality addresses, there's about a 1% growth in market cap. The easiest way maybe to look at this is this chart on the right here. So this is a U-shaped curve. If you scored every wallet in crypto ecosystems from 0 to 15, you're going to see this curve. On the left are wallets that are maybe spending $100. There's about 1 million of them in this curve. That if you go all the way out to the right for people spending $200,000 or more, you've got only about 2,500 wallets. Okay, so why is this important? If you're going to go out and try to aggregate wallets to your ecosystem, you're going to spend $100,000. You could go after what we might call one-level wallets, wallets that do some performance but not a lot. And if you do that, you're going to have maybe 25,000 wallets show up, and maybe your return is pretty good. Let's call it 300% ROI. But if instead you approached it by trying to only find the high quality wallets, and you took that 100,000 and you activated 5,000 6 and above wallets, your return is nearing 12,000%. Crypto doesn't think this way just yet, but is getting there. Now, we score a lot of wallets at Flipside. It's a big thing that we do. There's 5 sub-scores that go into every wallet scoring system. Many things we know: tokens, NFT behaviors, DeFi behaviors, governance activities, et cetera. All those roll up into a major overall score. There's cutoffs so that we remove all subjectivity. We look at every wallet, and we're able to determine its value in the ecosystem. Now, here's a little chart of how some of these ecosystems look. You can look in the upper left, that's Aptos. Lower right, that's Solana. So you've got 0 to 15. You can see their behaviors. I'm going to point you to 2 that may be interesting. This is Ethereum in the middle, and upper right is Base. Now, you probably are noticing Base has a lot of 0 wallets. Okay, this is actually a huge opportunity. And Base, you're going to see, is going to start, they're sort of pulling people in. And the goal for them is now to take those wallets and figure out how to activate them and how many of them are going to be able to move up the curve into high production for their ecosystem. If you take one thing from this presentation, this is it. Okay, this is something called the Flipside Utilization Funnel, or Fluff. It is not the sugary, marshmallowy kind, I promise you. It is a real thing, and you should pay attention to it. There are 4 things that actually activate users within crypto ecosystems. These are them. They work in a funnel. The first is awareness, measured by impressions. If you're creating awareness, you can move down to acquisition. Can you activate new wallets in the ecosystem? If you can activate those wallets, can you begin to get them to transact, measured by transaction volume? And then at the bottom is retention. And retention is lifetime value. How long will those wallets persist in your ecosystem? Remember, most wallets are sloshing between ecosystems. You need retention to maintain growth. And this is a much better metric than vanity metrics like TVL, because TVL is a representation of sloshing of assets. They can move pretty quickly. You want retention, not TVL. If you do this, you're going to have market cap outperformance. Okay, now I'm going to tell you the funnel really works. Okay, some of our clients are on the right here, so you can see them in action. And if you actually orchestrate growth, if you focus on driving growth, you actually get to this outperformance. What do we mean by outperformance? Everyone says, what's that mean? We're talking about price. Okay, this is a chart of Flipside partners compared to benchmark, in this case, BTC and ETH. This is from earlier this year. So you got 50-50 BTC and ETH. How's that perform? If you actually are activating growth, partners in this ecosystem grow at about 100% clip over that baseline. Now, one thing you might notice is that in November, you start to see this split off. Now, that's because this is like a hedge fund. This is a little bit like beta. When users are finding and market is growing and they're looking for a place to go, you want to activate. You're going to see a higher throughput and rate of return, and in down markets, a slower decline. Now, if you're doing all this, you got to wonder, how do we go about this? So the first thing is that Flipside publishes data to about nearly 150,000 analysts. We curate, we model it, we clean it for our customers, and then we publish it. We give it away entirely for free. And the reason we do that is because data is the language of crypto. And so you've got to give people these things so they can begin to activate. But what you're really looking for is, how do you activate that and create growth out of it? Data alone does not actually lead to performance. And so what do you need to do? I'm going to show you what it means by data not actually leading to performance. If you look at this chart, the yellow line are projects who have data published, but they don't go and activate that data. You're going to notice that at about before day 40, you see actually a nice promotional bump. Their price is going to go up. Good. We announce our data. It's live. But at about day 40, things begin to split. And you start to see a very significant difference in token performance. The purple line are projects who are using growth mechanics in order to activate their networks. You see about a 60% lift in performance by about day 120. So you want to be driving that growth for blockchains to make things happen. Let's put this into practice. This is near. Okay, yellow is nearest token price performance. This is earlier this year. The blue dots in the middle are social impressions. So this is top of the funnel. And this is, what are you doing to activate that awareness mechanism in order to get people to do things? This is a program we call Top N. We activate the 150,000 analysts in the network, and we say, create an insight or a visualization that if it's shared and it lives within the top N, top 10, top 20, top 30 of social reach, likes, retweets, etc., you will earn $1.50 in native token per hour. Okay? What you're seeing there is wisdom of the crowd. So now you have a lot of analysts competing to show things that people are actually going to like and pay attention to. And you can see the output of that. When there's bursts, you're seeing price performance. Now, there are lots of other things happening in the funnel. Okay, so it's not just awareness. We're driving that entire funnel through this process. At the tail end here, you're seeing something called a boost, lifting impressions by about 4,000% to actually create awareness around certain things and create outcomes. Okay, now let's put this into full funnel mode. This is Avalanche Q3 23, Q2 24. And let's show how this actually flows down to the bottom. You've got about 3 million dashboard impressions being created. These aren't just rando impressions going out on social. These are targeted impressions to people who care about crypto. And if you do that and you give some sort of action, you might acquire 23,000 or so addresses. And now, what you want to do with those addresses is very important. Most people will take addresses and they'll do things like run a quest or, put it on layer 3 or Galaxy or places that are really good at doing these types of things. And that's important, but you want to start using scoring to know which quests to which people matter. How much are you going to pay people? You want people who are going to move up that score curve to be paid more. You want people who have more opportunity to grow to be given more types of quests over time. And if you do that, you end up with about 60,000 transactions. Hey, now, what's important here is those transactions start at 0. Most people, when they start transacting, stop after the first time. Okay, if you're paying attention to that, maybe you get to the bottom and you get what's about 8,700, what we call retained or active users who are committed. And what I want to show you is this chart on the bottom. I'm going to blow it up for you here for a second. On the left is those 8,700 users at the start. They're zeros. Okay, what's important, or they're 0.17, so they're close to 0. What's important is that over the course of 90 days, they will generate about 200,000 in revenue for the ecosystem. That's not bad, but it's not very good. If you activate them deeply, if you focus on putting them into specific types of campaigns, you end up moving them up to about a 2.19 in a score. That's worth about 1.6 million or a 700% increase in value from the programs you're running. Now, if you want more on this, you can go to our site, you go to the partnerships page. There's a white paper on scoring. We give away, it's open source, so you can figure out how all this scoring works. You could use it for your own system or otherwise. So the last thing I'm going to walk you through here is most people at this point are like, I don't really get it. You guys publish data, you give it away for free. How is it possible you're a sustainable business? How the hell do you make money? So I'm going to walk you through this. 10% of treasuries for blockchains should be used to drive growth. That's what treasuries are for. How do you activate your network? Flipside is a treasury business. We actually own assets for our customers. We're paid in yield for delegations, and only our customers are in our treasury. So we run a big fund on the back end made up of our customers' assets. The way it works is assets are delegated from our clients' treasuries. We run bare metal validators. We run third-party validators. We stake those assets to drive yield. We take that yield. Portion of it goes into our treasury. Now we are fully aligned. We are thrilled when we can create token outperformance. The rest of it goes to activate the 150,000 analysts. So they're moving in certain directions and producing certain outcomes. And now what you're doing is you're using treasury yield to drive return. So instead of using treasury assets, you're actually using that yield. Eventually that treasury asset can go back into the treasury, remain intact. This is a nice cycle to create outcomes for the chains. So in summary, we orchestrate growth for blockchains. That's what we do. This is the model. We have curated data. We have about 150,000 analysts. We score every wallet all the time across every ecosystem, so we know where the wallets that are going to produce are available. We drive a funnel, fluff funnel, which is what's used to drive growth, and we create token outperformance. And so while all blockchains may not be identical, quite like quintuplets, they do all need the same growth funnel in order to succeed. Thank you.